I have a little notebook, okay, that comes with me with my planner. Now, at my own family doctor's, when I go in, they say, "Anne, give me your notebook." So what that does is they write down for me the date, okay, when I'm leaving, before we leave the visit, they will write down for me, return such and such a date, do such and such a thing in point form, so that when I leave the office, of course, everything that we've talked about is, hello, gone cyberspace. That informs me, okay, and I check that notebook. Oh, okay, I have to start a new medication, or I have to start, I need blood work. And they'll actually, if I have an appointment, not only will they write in the date, but if I need blood a week before, they'll go back up to that date in my planner and they'll write right in the date. Blood work, x-ray, 1 week before. I won't remember that. I could have 2 weeks before or 4 weeks before, but I go to that. And then, okay, this is what I have to do. That's another thing that works in terms of being on my own.
Before I was diagnosed, I would start cooking and I'd get distracted by something. My dog would be barking or want attention, or I'd be sitting down reading, and I'd even have the timer on my oven, my microwave, and I would just forget about it and walk away or fall asleep and wouldn't wake up or not even notice it. Sometimes my sense of smell is not there and wouldn't even smell it burning, and I'd wake up or hear the smoke detector going off saying, "You burnt another pan." Before I had a place to go into assisted living, they had a VON worker or a home care worker come in and twice a week, and she would help me, and I would make meals for the rest of the week that I could freeze in portions. Trying to put a point across. I used to have, not beautifully eloquent, but at least I was able to talk with meaning in a conversation. When I was working, I was able to explain something that was very, very difficult to grasp in a way that clients would be able to understand it without having to have a technical background. But as I was losing words, my vocabulary became very simplistic. I didn't realize this was happening to me, but I did when people mentioned it to me. Instead of talking and explaining something, I would just go, "Yes, that's right," instead of saying what was happening and why it was right. Or if somebody got off a topic, I would completely forget the topic and they'd go back to the original topic. So lost. I'd still be trying to figure out an answer to one question. A new one would come up and I'd be trying to think of that, and sometimes the answer to the first question would come out, or I'd mix up the two answers and it would make absolutely no sense. Someone had came into my apartment, and I meant to tell them, please close the door when you come in. But what came out of my mouth was, please exit the enter. Even for that, it took me 30 seconds to even think of what I could picture it in my mind. I wanted to ask them to close the door when they came in, but all that came out was please exit the enter. And then I just laughed and I said, I'm so sorry, I'll close the door myself. I couldn't remember it the first time, but laughing about it, I was able to come back with it. Especially when I was driving, not sure, I wasn't able, my judgment was starting to go. I would be driving down the road and I used to be able to drive between the lines. I wasn't one of those people that ever crossed them, but all of a sudden I misjudged a turn, and I would either take it too tight or way too wide. And I had a few close calls, and that was another reason for the driving to stop. When I was still able to drive, I would be able to I seemed like one day I could go to places, my clients' places that I was always going to, no problem. Then the next day I'd get halfway there and I'd take a right turn and I'd be really lost, and I'd end up going, okay, I think I know this street. I'm going to go down here and turn. And then I'd get mislaid again, and I'd have to wait till I could pull off to, a garage or a gas station or parking lot of some kind and figure out where I was. So a lot of the times towards the end when I was working, I would leave an hour to an hour and a half early just to make sure I would get there on time. And then, I was getting so frustrated with driving and my memory and everything like that I had to stop. And that was mostly when I stopped working. I still had my car for a year, but I was afraid to go out all the time of where I was going to end up. If it was somewhere familiar, like around my neighborhood, to go to the grocery store, which I knew was up one block, down one block, and there I was. But if not new places, I didn't go. So I officially became a bus person. I walk every day, and when I'm walking, if I'm going for the first time on a new route, I always try to have somebody with me when I'm walking, just so I can get familiar with it and get used to the street sign names. But what really saves me a lot is the GPS on my phone. Or if it's dark and I just call my daughter up on my phone and I go, I'm at such and such a place and I can't figure out how to get back home. And she'll turn her phone on and she has the locate me button, and she looks to make sure I'm really where I think I am and walk me back home.
Before I recognized it as impaired judgment, I would be out and I would see a sign that said sale and I would buy it. I ended up with 3 irons, 4 toasters, a whole room full of toilet paper, and as many purses as you can count. Oh yeah, money was like, it went through my fingers like water. I had no idea where it went or what I spent it on, and shopping is the worst for me. And I never was a shopper, so it was completely, totally out of character. Now I have a list of things that I already have on hand. My sister-in-law jokes with me. She said, well, you've got an heir and a spare. My daughter taught me the trick about going back 24 hours later, giving yourself time to think about it, and checking to see if you already have it at home.
Like when my friends call, this is one of my classic examples, is, If you called me, Paul, and you said, "Hi, Ann, I'm going to take you out to lunch today. Where would you like to go?" Duh. Woohoo. In the beginning, I would say no, because I couldn't think. What do you mean, go to lunch? You know, I had already had my little schedule for today, and that wasn't in it, okay? So, gone. I'm the one that's blessed with all the friends I have. We go through these little exercises, okay, and I try to teach them. Okay, when you call and you say, "I'm free, I'd like to take you for coffee this morning. Would you like to go to Timmy's or would you like to go to Free Trade?" Then I can say, "Okay, let's go." If I'm a complete blank, they'll say to me now, "Look at your list in the back of your book," because I have listed there places I like to go for coffee. So I'll choose one, say, "Okay, let's go to whatever." That's very important. It's the same with lunches, things like that. If you say, "Do you want to go, where would you like to go?" That's a useless question for the person that's with me and for me, because I haven't got a clue at that point. But if they know now that I have my list, and they'll say, "Well, where would you like to go? Would you like to go to Steak and Stein, Swiss Chalet?" I can say, "Okay, let's go to such and such." That way, they understand, and I understand, and there isn't a misconception of what's going on. They know that when you ask me something that I'm not prepared for, I just go blank. I don't process it. It may be 20 minutes later that I'll say, "Oh, all that was Gail wanted you to go for lunch." But it throws me off. So this is my way of dealing with it. My planner and my little notebook is in my purse, okay? And I have a little bookcase in the hall, and everything is there, okay? Even like my jacket, boots, whatever, everything is there. And after I get dressed to go out, then that's my last final check. It's this little 3x5 card check, purse, planner, notebook.
Anxiety is my new little emoji that follows me around everywhere. And I was never an anxious person. I never worried about anything. And now everything. I second guessed myself. My self-esteem went kerplunk right down, and that anxiety that it sort of rolls around in the pit of your stomach, and then it explodes over nothing. Yeah, I mean, it does. It eats you up. And I don't know that there's any trick to getting rid of it. Maybe removing yourself again just to calm down and find a place that's spiritual for you, whether it's in the garden or whether it's in a chair or whether it's listening to music. So when the anxiety gets so much control over your day, take some time for you to just to relax and not think of anything else, but put your mind in that piece of nature, that piece of artwork, that piece of music, and let yourself go and try and come back feeling refreshed and less anxious. So the patience is gone, and it happens at the spur of the moment. And it's like an electric jolt of electricity will hit me, and the personality changes from a little bit of patience to absolutely none. And then watch out. And I feel terrible. That's not me. And I try and take that time to just walk away from the situation or the conversation or the activity, whatever it is, and get myself back, to calm down, to take some deep breaths. And sometimes it's just walking into another room, into a new surrounding. Sometimes it's just going outside for a little while. And I find that when I'm in a crowded room of people, sometimes I just need to take all that confusion and all that conversation that's bombarding me and I can't make sense of it. And I just need that Faye space. I get up and go. Got up and left. I didn't care. I was quite comfortable staying at home and doing nothing. Work got done only when it absolutely had to get done. When there were no dishes left in the cupboard and I have a place setting for 16, did I do dishes? And I have a dishwasher. The dust bunnies rolled around the floor. It didn't matter. I didn't see it. After diagnosis, it was, again, education, and it was making a concerted effort to put one foot in front of the other and go ahead with life. And I had the choice. I could have stayed curled up in that little ball and let Alzheimer's take over my life. Or I could get up and make a move to put things back in my life, to put my life back together again, because Alzheimer's is not the end of life. It's a stumbling block, but it's certainly not, life doesn't end with Alzheimer's. And making that effort is a real push. You have to be very conscious of it. And I used to reward myself. If there was something that I wanted to eat or have a treat, I would say, okay, you got to do this first and then you can have it. And that was my own little incentive to do that.